Let me know. Ready? Count. 1, 2, 3. Welcome to Big Sky Voices. My name is Ben Boothe.
And I'm Victor Waumett.
We've got a special program today. I want you to meet this guy, Victor. He's a good friend of mine, someone I have admired so much, and we're going to learn from him today. Victor, you've done 3 movies, as near as I can tell.
I've done screenplays, Ben.
Yeah? Well, I was looking at the published thing. What is this? The Girl at the End of the World?
Oh, well, I've been a producer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Half and Half?
Yeah.
That's the Immortal One?
Yes.
And basically the producer or owner of Storyteller Films.
I am, and we also have something called Red Eye Films, which I have a T-shirt from.
That's free advertising. You have to pay for this, you know.
That's true.
All right, so this is what I'll ask you.
Yeah.
First screenplay you ever wrote. Tell me about it. Do you remember?
Well, Ben, I didn't start off writing screenplays. You know, I started off writing novels, and I published some novels. I started writing screenplays because that's what people... Ben, I went in a bookstore in Portland, Oregon, and I went in a little corner, and I must have seen 20,000 books, and I knew I would never read even 1 or 2 of those, but there's a chance that someone might see one of 200-300 movies that are made every year.
Yeah.
So hell, I didn't want it to be up on one of those shelves, you know, up on the bookstore shelf where nobody ever pays any attention to you, you know. But my first screenplay, I'd rather tell you about what I'm working on now. All right?
Okay. Well, all right, tell me. What are you working on now?
Well, like I said, we have a company called Storyteller Films, and we have a real short mantra, and that mantra is, tell stories that matter. Tell stories that matter. Let me give you an example. You know, I've had people tell me that I've got a lot of white hair. You know, that I'm a little old to be starting a film production company.
You old
you know?
thing, yes.
But, you know, I've always been a late starter. I grew up on a little farm in the South, pretty isolated. I didn't meet a Catholic until I was 12. I didn't meet a Jewish person until I was 18 years old. I was the youngest of 2 boys. I didn't hold a baby in my arms until I was 27 years old. And when that little boy was 27, Ben, he died of a heroin overdose upstairs in my friend's home. Now, unlike my friends, I've not had the experience of losing a child to a drug overdose, but I have had the experience of finding my child unconscious, stretched out beside the bathtub, you know, rubber tie still around her arm, a little red drop of blood on the white tile floor, and like hundreds of thousands of others, for years, every night before I went to sleep, I put the phone on the table beside the bed, and every night I prayed that it would not ring.
Wow.
And every morning when I got up, I thank God Almighty my child was still alive, because as long as she was alive, there's a chance, even though she's one of the lost sheep out there wandering the streets, there's a chance that the shepherd's going to find her and show her how to find the way home. And that's the theme of our script, Lost Sheep. You know, and that theme is, you never give up on anyone. You never give up on anyone. You know, so that's kind of that's in a nutshell what I mean when I say we're going to tell stories that matter.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Do you have an ethic or a belief that if you create something, it should have a positive message? Is that what you're about?
No.
No?
I am a cultural warrior. You know, I want to tell stories that are real, stories about how people overcome the obstacles in their life, how they either do or they don't overcome those obstacles, because not everybody does, you know. But all of our lives is a journey.
Yeah.
You know, it's all of a learning experience.
Yeah.
So, in a way, just tell the true story just tell the story about what happens, you know, and it carries a message for everyone that's there to see.
Victor, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
One day you told me that when we were writing, we both like to write.
We do.
And both of us, our wives will say we both like to talk.
Yes.
You know. But you told me that you could take a line or a paragraph
Yes.
and concentrate on it and learn how to tease out details that make it far more interesting and powerful. Tell me just a little bit of your thinking there.
I wish it was my thinking, but it was something that someone taught me. I wrote a scene about a little Apache girl who kills a rabbit and takes it home to eat. And the next time I wrote that scene, she didn't just kill the rabbit, she stunned it. And then she had to pick it up and hit it. It's all about adding those details that go right into your gut, from one gut to another gut.
Or smell the blood, or
Smell
feel
the
it on your
blood.
fingertips.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, so you had a phrase I thought had an impact on me, Victor, and it's helped my writing a little bit. And I never thought about it in these terms.
Okay.
You said there are some people who write in the language of Winston Churchill,
Yes.
and maybe others write in the intellectual language of Thomas Jefferson or someone like that.
Not
Tell me-
Jefferson so much, but I know what you're saying.
Tell
Yeah.
me what you mean. Give us an illustration of what you're talking about. Give me a
Yeah, well, Churchill's
word.
an Anglo-Saxon guy, right?
Yeah.
You know, English is made of Anglo-Saxon. It's
Yeah.
Latin. You know, it's part Scandinavian.
Right.
You know, but the power of the Anglo-Saxon of Winston Churchill was the one-syllable word. You know, just here's the example. You know, we shall fight them on the landing fields. We shall fight them. It's all one-syllable words.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and each word's like a punch in the gut.
Like a plosive. Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
even know what that word means.
It's going to explode.
Oh, it's going to explode. Yes.
Plosive.
Right, right. Whereas you take another person, maybe they're writing a college term paper, and they're using a lot of adjectives and a lot of long words, and words that end in ly, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
different kinds of endings, and it has a different purpose, and it serves that purpose, but it's just a different kind of writing.
So a Jefferson, or any more of a, what shall I call, a intellectual, or what shall we call he would use phrases that are more wordy in describing.
There are, I would say, Jefferson's in the middle.
Yeah.
You know?
So instead of "we shall fight them in the streets,"
Right.
"we shall fight them here and there," he would say, "we need to have definite contact with these people to demonstrate our desire."
Or he would say,
you know,
when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to blah, 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 you know.
Yeah.
Is that,
yeah,
it's a blend,
Yeah.
you know, a very powerful blend.
yeah. What is your favorite part, Victor, of
You think about what color is the production, what are the color values, what are the movement value, what's the music sound like? It's all part of this big combined production. You know, so I like all of it. Probably the writing is the beginning.
Yeah. One thing I like about you, I'll share this with the viewers out there, is that while you're a very logical guy and very practically oriented, very pragmatic in your thinking, there's also a side to you that's very sensitive to beauty or even mystical aspects of our existence. Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, I don't want to weird out or anything, but the fact of the matter is, I have found some of the most creative movies in my life that I've watched
Yes.
had the sensitivity to catch magic.
Yes.
Can you remember something of this magic that you have captured and described this process?
Well, part of the process that every writer will tell you about, there comes a time when the character takes over the scene that you're writing. One time I'm writing one of my novels, and I said something about so-and-so, when you divorced your ex-husband, and the woman character took over, and she says, "Yeah, that son of a bitch, he done, he did this and he did that." So I didn't know that happened.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I wrote another book where I got to the end and I realized the person I thought had done it was a murder mystery,
Yeah.
hadn't done it.
Yeah.
You know, it's because the story has a life of its own.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a very famous story about this old poet. She told when she was a little girl, she would write down poems, and she would be out in the country in Virginia, and she would perk up, and she would hear a poem coming from long, far away, and she would run to the house to get her pencil and paper. And if she ran fast enough and got there before the poem did, she could write it down.
Before it went away.
Before it went away, but if she didn't, it would just go on past to find another home somewhere, except, she said, sometimes if she just pulled and pulled and pulled, she could pull that poem back to her until she could write it down.
Wow.
You know? That's the idea that the stories have a life of their own. We're just the vehicles,
Yeah.
you and I.
Tell me of an experience you've had where you have written a line